ask Wontumi questions because he's an MPP regional chairman. And so what? So we should not put questions to him. He can just do anything at all and just go away because and one funny thing that I even heard, that is because he's contesting or he's about to contest as a national chairman for the MPP. That is why we are doing this. I mean, who cares about your national chairmanship? Whether you win or lose, it has got no effect or impact on this country. That is your political party. We don't care what will happen next to you people. But that doesn't defeat the fact that you must answer questions where necessary. Yeah. Now you have been arrested. The EOCO, I think by the second day or so, where I mean they are granted bail by the second day.
Very night. 11. Appear could be 11 to 12 midnight.
Okay. So even the very day that you are arrested, bail was granted to you. Under normal circumstance, all these agencies, I mean that I mentioned earlier, we have the power to keep you 48 hours maximum. And after that, you have to put you there before court or grant you bail. But you were even lucky. The very day that you are arrested in the morning or afternoon, by the night of that day, bail has been granted. Now certain conditions were placed. Meet it. Then you see lawyers even within their party saying that, oh, it is too outrageous. The bail condition is too high. Who can raise that money? Really? Were you guys in this country when we were putting 100 million on the Tadufo? Were you guys in this country when we were putting 54 or so million on Wontumi and Co? Number one, do you know how much you put on him as bail? Do you know how much you put on him as bail? You're all here. But it was okay, I mean, for Amwabin and Co, Namwan and Co, because Namwan, it was alleged that he has defrauded some people, and so if you put 500 something million on him as bail, it's okay. Nobody spoke. Now it's your chairman, so you are speaking. This is a guy who said he's richer than every other person in this country. He sat on his TV.
So what has that got to do with the case?
Now, so if you are richer than every other person in this country, how can 50 million cedis be issued to you?
He describes the whole protest as theater. He says that they can't get Chairman Wontumi out now because of a legal process. You remember that Gary Nimakon had applied for variation of the bill conditions. Your thoughts on these?
Okay. Well, yes. So, yeah, bill matters, right? Yes. Like Mami said. You know, what I should say is that apart from his comment now, you know, earlier, Lawyer Pierre Kubi had commended EOCO for a very professional job earlier in the week. You know, he was arrested on Tuesday afternoon. Then they were there, far into the night. So Wednesday morning, I heard him on Net FM commending EOCO for doing a professional job. And that was that very night that EOCO admitted him to bail. It's just that he's not been able to meet the conditions yet. Yes, so I heard Lawyer Pierre Kubi commending EOCO. And for me, that was heartwarming because you know how lawyers generally, we are distrustful of state institutions, and when it comes to bail, the arm twisting, etc. But he was very clear that EOCO had been very professional. And I'll say, commending them. That was what he said. Yeah, so we should, put that on record too and see how that trajectory has played out, right? Now, so once he said it was good, they had been admitted to bail, then it stands to reason that all of their efforts were to be channeled in getting or in meeting the conditions of the bail. So it means that, all the party sympathizers, the contractors, etc. If you didn't want one person to overexpose himself, you know, the bail condition, it doesn't say that only one person should provide the 50 million. So presumably you can even get 50 people whose properties are worth 1 million each, right? And if you add them, you get 50, of course. But if there are 50 people, the verification will be more tedious. Because, you see, another point we should notice that the bail conditions, they said to be justified. So in law, when we use the word to be justified, you are admitted to 50 million Ghana cedis bail to be justified. That means that those coming to sign the bail bond must prove that they have the properties. As I said, there's no rule that it must be only one person, and there's no rule that each person, if you are bringing 10, they should all be 10 million each. No, any proportion. But the main thing is that those persons coming must prove. So either nowadays they accept investments in bank, okay, treasury bills, etc. But of course, subject to certain conditions. We can't go into all of that, but you're allowed to use the investment because they do. I've seen some involved in cases in the past, right? but usually the popular security that we use is immovable property. That is a house, bare land, etc. Right? So immovable security. So that one is there constant. But they would have to go and verify at the Lands Commission, and that takes time. Yeah. So I have mentioned that we need to modernize Lands Commission. You know, this digitalization, etc., make it faster, so that even if, when he was admitted to bail 11 to 12 p.m. on Tuesday night, then EOCO would have sat in their offices, then went onto the Lands Commission database to check the sureties you've brought, are their properties registered, etc. Then they could have executed. But you see, Lands Commission is not yet there. EOCO is not linked to Lands Commission. And by extension, all the law enforcement agencies, we hope it gets there, so that you do an online search and then, boom, you are done, right? So that is one thing. One key thing we are learning from this whole process is the law reform. 2 weeks ago, I mentioned house arrest. We've been talking about it. The last time I heard house arrest in Ghana, it was in respect of Atimbila, is it DCOP at the time, so the police chief. Yes, it was his case that he was given house arrest. Then they said it on radio that, okay, he's been given house arrest. Let's make it more accessible to all citizens, right? More citizens. So when they do the house arrest, I don't think he's the so. It's not just you stay in your house. They'll put a tracker on your hand or ankle, and then it will be monitored from the state institution involved, the law enforcement agency. So there will be conditions that you can't go out of your gate. If you go towards your gate, you touch your gate or something, then there will be an alarm. It will blow. They will come for you. So it's something, and you see, it's not just curious. It's a bit painful that we've learned to put trackers in vehicles, cars, so that renters can go on. But when it comes to our personal liberties, we don't care. We are still using 1960 laws. Why wouldn't this happen? You see, so we need to modernize the law. That's the key thing we should be learning. Because you see how embarrassing it was. Yesterday, Bawumia went there. He was now crying that they had made prior arrangements. But when they got there, they couldn't see the authorities. I said, you see, when you were in office, you didn't care. If you had modernized the law, today you would not be crying. Because he said they had made prior arrangements, meaning that before he came there, calls had been made. And perhaps some assurances had been given that he will meet Remonacha. You see, in social media, they are now calling him last killer. You know, that's just by the way. So today you have Bawumia crying because he didn't modernize the law. It's a lesson to all of us.
I see. That's the defect in jurisprudence called the starkness of the law. The starkness of the law must be cured by the rule of change, as Professor Hart said.
I will pass the bar by the time we are done today.
But so then one other key thing is that let's be careful. I've heard people making arguments that the 50 million is unreasonable. The 50 million is unreasonable. And I've heard lawyers say so. Okay. And even before we go into Wontumi, do you see one very conspicuously missing fact? What are the details of the charges? Do you know how much is involved? And I've heard lawyers who are supposed to be seniors at the bar say it's unreasonable, What have you used to measure? Have you heard the facts? Have you heard? You see, one thing that EOCO too must learn from, you see, all these charges of unreasonableness, etc., it's also showing that EOCO hasn't managed the process well. Let's be very fair.
How so?
Yes, they should have come out with the facts by now. And Mr. Atta is a journalist, okay? Maybe from here we'll be prompting him.
Raymond Atta.
Yes, yes. He's a journalist. You know information flow. If you are taking somebody like Wontumi, he has a lot of following. So put out those allegations. Yes. Look, there's no rule that says
but there are those who have argued that EOCO does not owe us a public statement.
No, that is absolutely
on what they are doing.
That's anybody who says so is absolutely wrong. Governance runs on information. You can't say that it's not anybody's private property. Then you don't even know what you're about. So
but as an intelligence...
No, intelligence agencies give information. It depends. You manage it. You see, what was brought out later by Dr. Sremsai, yes, but it was late. You see, and especially as Mr. Acha is a journalist, so you should have known that our society thrives on information free flow. So bring out, I mean, if you had to say that he's involved in tax fraud involving 1 billion Ghana cedis, that doesn't change anything. Well, the fact that that has been put out there change the investigations. It's your sources and how you are gathering the evidence that you don't put out. But if the allegation is that somebody's brought you a petition that is involved in tax fraud, 1 billion Ghana cedis, I hear on the grapevine to things like he has bought a lot of stolen vehicles. Okay,
I believe that is why maybe the deputy AG came out.
No, but he didn't put facts enough to.
Detailed facts.
You see, they are saying that the 50 million is unreasonable. So you should say the tax fraud involves
this amount and that.
That doesn't change.
I mean, but at this point, we cannot take any of those things that are going around on social media. We don't have the information.
No, it's
we don't know the detail. No. The issues about stolen cars and all that. We don't know. We don't know.
I said grapevine.
I don't know, we can't do grapevine.
So I've heard, yes, so you see, so even that one, yes, I'll take it back, sure, not a problem. But you see, when you do this, then you're going to bring a lot of unnecessary trouble. So I think the authorities should learn from this. This is basic. Bring out, there is nothing that is, what do you call it, esoteric about stating that the tax fraud involves 1 billion, this and this, the money laundering involves it. That's all. It's the sources. Where are you getting your sources? How you are gathering the intelligence? That's why you don't reveal. But there's nothing wrong with the bringing the headlines. That's the cause of all of these problems. So because I've been saying I'll restrain myself, so all the interviews are granted. I said no, I would wait because I haven't heard. But as I kept waiting, I said no, I think there's something wrong. The more the citizens are charging and this thing is going on, then it means that there's something wrong. Then I said, oh no, it's the investigation. Investigative body, they should have come ahead with enough facts so that these things are by its unreasonable. So they should learn how to manage the information. It's not been managed well at all in this case. Because Bawumia also went in there and said it's unreasonable. They said, but Bawumia, which lawyer is advising you? You should have said that EOCO hasn't managed the process well.
It brings the question of what determines the reasonableness.
Exactly. Right. So if you don't know the figure, so you see why I said Bawumia shouldn't have said so.
Said that.
Very wrong, very bad advice. He should have been advised that why is EOCO not bringing out the details? If he said there is a tax fraud involving 1 billion, this and this, what is wrong? You say it. So he got wrong advice. I think next time his advisors should analyze well.
I mean, but legally speaking, the reasonableness is left to the agency that is granting the bail.
Yes. And also we have a law, Act 30. It says that bail should not be excessive. There are some principles. It's not comprehensive enough, but they'll tell you that don't use it as punishment. So let's say if the facts were to come out and it shows that, let's say put everything together, all the figures point to, let's say, the total figures involved is 20 million. And you go and set bail at 50. People say, how? So usually what the practice is that, yes, if the allegation involves 50 million, then you set it. And it's not every allegation, but maybe if you see money has moved or there's some money with the person, that's when you set it. But if it's an allegation and there is nothing tangible, the fact that they say that it involves tax fraud of 1 billion doesn't mean you set bail at 1 billion. No, they look to see, has some money come to Wontumi? And Wontumi's case, I'm sure that one, trust me, because of the cocoa roads and the other things, you see money has come to him. So
well, I mean, but the issue of the cocoa roads, he said he's not taking any money.
No, that's false.
Because if you are constructing roads,
that is false. I mean, the things are. So I'm also telling you that it's false. You've heard his, you are saying his. I'm telling you that it's false. He was paid hundreds of millions. That one we can't. Even the one I said grapevine, I just decided to just walk away because it's not been made official. But people know, I mean, people know, these things, people know them in town. So we are still on the principle. You're saying that how do the reasonableness. Yes. It's not just what the state institution thinks. We have some laws, some provisions in the Act 30.
But are those laws clear enough? Because again, we seem to find ourselves at a juncture where the use of excessive reasonableness without proper clarity. Yes. Are we looking at a situation where we have to reconsider those again?
Yes, so absolutely. That's why I said earlier that we need to reform the bail laws. We need to reform. Look, the Supreme Court at a point, even Justice Doche was asked to do some work. He did it, and then it got lost, because they didn't progress. So there have been attempts to reform the bail laws. They didn't go anywhere. That's how come the Supreme Court has made some efforts through the 3 decisions, Kwebu number 1, Kwebu number 2, Kwebu number 3. But that's insufficient. We just need to come out with a full act of parliament on it, the Bail Act, so that we will take care of a lot of these problems. So back to the reasonableness. So, Kemini, what we do is that the practice has evolved, and thank God there are 2 other lawyers here, they can corroborate or maybe say I'm wrong. You see, so like I mentioned, Kemini, if somebody were to go to you, right? So if I say come to you, then you are CID boss. So let's use another example. Dr. Zato petitions Kemini CID boss that he has given a lawyer man 1 billion Ghana cedis for some trade, blah, 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 and lawyer man has not done the work. Now, when they are going to set bail, Zato is put it in his petition, but he's not been able to show a transfer of the money. Can you imagine such a colossal sum? You don't have what do you call it? Bank accounts to prove that you sent it. Man is brought in. He comes and says, no, the money was 20 million or 100 million. Now here is Zato, who sent a lot of money, allegedly, but has no proof. The police cannot base their word on Zato's claim that it's 1 billion and say, man, the bail is at 1 billion. No. But if he had shown back accounts, okay, transfers, totally 1 billion, and true, man has not done any work, police will be likely to use 1 billion. But the moment you cannot prove 1 billion with any transfers, and man is saying it's 100 million, they are likely to come this is in man's direction, that 100 million, because that one. Or let's say the 1 billion, maybe Zato proved only 100 million. So peg it on what can be proved, right? So it's not done in the air. Some of them, they are not in the act, but it's also practice. So the key thing is that, please, don't say the figure is unreasonable. You'll be in for a shock.
So the protesters then, we can say, put the cart before the horse, because they didn't have details of the bill. They just jumped to it's too much. No,
I wouldn't say they put the cart before the horse. I think there's something to be said. What the plain truth with all us is that EOCO hasn't managed the process well. Come out with enough facts. Me, this thing I can't support. I can't support anything. Look, we are building a democracy. Hey, you don't know when MPP will be back. I don't want to say some things and then tomorrow be like, you were the one saying. The plain truth, they are there because something went wrong. Put out the facts. The tax fraud involves this. The other money laundering involves this. This one, what is so secretive about that? So I won't say that they put the card. If you don't manage information well, this is what you get.
Yeah. I see. Dr. Zato, I mean, do you think there was germane and genuine cause for the protests that we saw yesterday and 2 nights ago?
Thank you very much. You know, after listening to Martin, I don't know what else to add. But to say this, Chairman Wontumi is not above the law, and nobody is above the law. And I am in favor of any process being used by the state, legal processes, to try to hold public office holders in general and individuals to account for their actions or their inactions. You will not see me sitting here and say that should not happen, because it's part of why we run a political system, it's part of why we are a democracy. But in this democracy, we said that things must be done by the law. And sometimes even where I think the law is not explicit, we've tried to say that the state must seem to be fair, must seem to be humane and to do that. So again, I'm not saying Chairman is about the law, but if you look at the way he has been treated, in my own opinion, it's inhumane. Now somebody will say other people have been treated like that before. That you can go through our history and see political opponents of other political parties that for the 8 years of the NPP they did worse or they did similar. And that if you go back to look at the other 8 years of the Indies, they did better. Isn't that a more reason why we need a reset? Isn't that a more reason why we need to bring a more humane process? The funny thing is, it's always the politicians or those in office who are crying, who are perpetrators, and then the next time they become what? The very people, the victims of the whole process. So the process seems to reproduce itself. And I don't think that is fair. Look, people of rational minds look and say, look, why are we doing this to ourselves? And I say you can go through the list, the long list of people who were maltreated under the NDC government. And now, when people they are now here. Meanwhile, it's the same people. If you can literally see a revolving door of a perpetrator and of a victim, of perpetrators becoming victims and of victims becoming perpetrators. But there is no political appetite or even legal to solve it, to address it. And I think that is where we are wrong. Look, there should be a big appetite to do that. So what I'm seeing, therefore, becomes a weaponization of the bail system. You've mentioned it. I'm wondering, if Chairman Wontumi struggle with the bill, what about the so-called ordinary man on the street? What about the ordinary, I'm saying this with all the respect, the ordinary teacher, the ordinary nurse, the ordinary unemployed person. And I was thinking, and somebody told me, look, Joshua, it's worse than you think. You can go and see people sit either in police cell or somewhere for so long because either a judge or somebody has weaponized the bail system to deny the person of their fundamental right. Why are we being so inhumane to ourselves? Why do we keep doing this? It's not fair. Perception is reality and king in politics. And since I don't know the law, I always want to go.
Oh, you are allowed.
And I am happy you made the point that EOCO in and of itself has not managed this process well. And look, so I see some complicity in EOCO based on what is happening. Because you made it. I'm asking, imagine in an alternate world, EOCO calls this man, say you are under arrest. Straight they take him to court, put charges there, and now leave his fate to the court.
Yeah.
Imagine in an alternate world, not even an ideal world, it happens that, look, Chairman, we are arresting you, Chairman, straight to court. Court, this is what we have against him. That's the transparency you're talking about. That's the accountability you're talking about. Then we can now see what is in the charge sheet. And then you now tell the court. Now he and his lawyers will now be arguing before a court, and then the court decides whether he goes. Because I've seen it happen. I've also seen Ghanaians, highly exposed political people, being given self-recognized bail.
Yes, self-recognized
bail. But you see, it's because here of the agency of the person. Yes, Chairman Wontumi is flamboyant. Yes, Chairman Wontumi is loquacious. He speaks a lot. Yes, Chairman Wontumi is a major political player. And yes, Chairman Wontumi likes it. Look, he has a big voice and he has big platforms to talk about it. Maybe you don't like his politics. Maybe you don't like how he does it. Maybe you don't like even him. You think he's a braggart. You think he shows so much bravado. And then you think that it is time to teach him a lesson. It is time to cow him into docility. Those are not justice, looking for justice. Those are vendetta. And those become very vindictive.
Is that how you feel about the process?
I'm saying, yes, I'm just telling you now. There's something you said about, there's something you did about perception. And part of the argument going that, and there was a way that EOCO has dropped the ball on this one. Look, there's already a perception in EOCO about the EOCO boss. There's an argument that under the MPP, he suffered so much indignity and injustice. Under the MPP, his properties were destroyed, were seized by the state. That the MPP was so wicked and so bad to him. That is already there. That perception is there. Now he's in charge of EOCO. Now he's come. And the argument then is that it is now his time to say justice is karma is a bitch, better said what? Cold. Now he has his time. You see, when you juxtapose what has happened, what was supposed to be a normal, boring legal process, we are arresting you, we are charging you, your fate is with the court. When you now bring all these nuances, when you now bring all this other effort, it then looks like the EOCO now is now being weaponized to go on a vengeance, and that is not like kind of like vengeance on steroids by this individual. And when you do that,
Zato, I mean, in order to draw the connection that this could be vendetta because Raymond Atta lost his business under the tenure of the MPP, then we should be able to connect what Chairman Wontumi did during that period to how Raymond lost his businesses. But at this point, we are not able to do that. What we have rather are real charges against, or well, not charges at this point, but real accusations against Chairman Wontumi. How are you drawing the issue of vindictiveness and vendetta?
I am not saying there's a causal link between those two. I've not said that. I'm not saying there's a cause and effect between those two. I'm saying that there seems to be a correlation. And I also did say that perception is king in politics. I'm saying it is a perception. I'm not saying it's based on factuality. People are allowed to have their perceptions.
Yeah, was it perception?
Perception, yes. So I'm saying it's a perception. I'm not saying it is law. I'm saying the perception here seems to be that this gentleman suffered inhumanity, in indignity when the AP was in power. There's a perception. In fact, that's a reality. That's a reality. Now, this same gentleman is now in charge of these coercive state investigative bodies. And it just happens that this is the same body that is now teaching Wontumi a lesson. And as Martin made a point. I'm saying yes. That is, look. So now, and as Martin said, If you had been,
it's a perception that he's teaching him a lesson.
It's a perception. It's a perception that he's teaching him a lesson.
Okay.
Yes, it's a perception that he's teaching a lesson.
Right.
Now, and I'm saying that all this could have been avoided or prevented if, like Martin said, there was enough accountability and transparency. If by now, look, take the case of the Addo guy.
Okay.
Yes, everything is there. They've charged him. There's a charge sheet. You can see them. Yeah. And then that is transparency. That's
all came out very
in fact, he actually the Attorney General.
To be fair, he came out early, but he didn't drop charges.
Exactly. I know. But he came out and he said these are the issues at stake, and these are the issues I'll be taking to court. And he went to court. He put the issues there. So right now it is between the two, the prosecution and the defense and the judge, the court. The legal system. Assuming a similar thing had happened in Alternate assuming it was a simple process that you come and say, look, this is what he has also done. Even if you want, but I want to ask a question. Did he actually need to be in the EOCO cells before they can do the investigation?
Sometimes, if let's say he is hampering, Wontumi, to be fair, if you ask people in Kumasi, there have been times when he's not been fair to people in Kumasi, like the allegations that he terrorizes people, etc. Okay. So where there are fears that if he's out there, he will prevent people from responding to the court. That's if only there is evidence. If only in law, that particular one, interfering with investigations, we don't say it lightly in court. There are many judicial decisions where the courts have warned police not to make that statement lightly. But if you have evidence that he has already called X and Y and warned them not to talk to police, you can tender it, but we don't make it lightly. And let me quickly add, like what you said, you see, look at people who are familiar with what happened. Liverpool celebrating their victory a few days ago, and then the man who ran into them. You see, the Merseyside police, what they did was that they came out with charges and came and briefed with this in the populace and said that they are still investigating and they will keep reviewing these charges. So as the investigations go on, if it turns out that these charges are no longer great, they will drop them. They will drop them. So this particular one, I think the information flow has cost us dearly. It's cost us.
So Dr. So just a few questions for you as you finish your point, right? Because I'm a tad worried about how you make the issue of how you put across the point on perception, because it would appear to impugn the integrity of Raymond Atta as well. And that is why I'd ask you, first things first, when you say that the process is inhumane, what are you identifying as inhumane?
Thank you. Again, I'm saying that perception is king in reality in politics. So I'm not talking law, I'm talking politics. There's a perception there.
And the law
I've also said that, yes, there are incontrovertible facts that he suffered certain injustice under the MPP. And so that perception could cloud what he's doing. I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong. I'm not saying he's doing right. But that is on the personal side, the agency side. But as an institution, I think EOCO has dropped the ball. In that, one, I said that and Martin is saying it, there are better ways that they could have done it. As I said, arrest the guy, charge the guy, put it there. And you made a point. Even if the case then was that if you leave him on bail and if you just go ahead, he will interfere. That, and as you are saying, that evidence, we've not put it there. So all of a sudden, it seems that there's this black hole, there's this vacuum of no information, of no knowledge. And so what we are then seeing is that two main players. There seems to be Chairman Wontumi on the other side, and then they seem to be. And his Excellency, the former Vice President, made a very important point. And I think that, look, hate his politics or hate our politics. But if it is true that he did speak to somebody, and if it is true, because what I know is that there was a funeral in Tamale, the Miomlana's funeral, and that the former Vice President was at that funeral. So I think the only reason why he could leave that funeral to come to Accra would be that he had a kind of, I want to say probably a gentleman agreement with somebody, or he has spoken to somebody, and the person said
before EOCO picked him up?
No, before Bawumia came there, what I heard him say that there had been prior arrangements.
Because that was what he said, yes.
I think we'll have Alexander tell us a bit more about that. But the point I'm making is that you still haven't identified to me any inhumane activity that EOCO may have conducted against him.
I'm saying that if
he had access to counsel, he was ill, he was taken to hospital, he was granted bail. And so in the process of, where would that perception even come from?
That man has been in court since Tuesday, right? Tuesday after.
Yeah, Tuesday.
I don't think that is humane. I don't think so. Personally, I don't think that is me.
Okay. Because we don't know the facts. If we had heard maybe he's been paid X amount of money, the money went into his account. This things will not be happening.
So what I want us to do is to differentiate the issue of EOCO's lack of communication. I think we all agree on that. That EOCO's lack of communication has complicated people's position on this. But while we know that and agree on that, we should differentiate that also from whether or not EOCO acted right or wrong in dealing with Chairman Wontumi directly.
No,
I don't think there was anything inhumane.
No, again, I'm saying that those two things are mutually inclusive. That if the process, if we consider they've dropped the ball, if we consider they have not told us why the man is being not enough detail, then why are you keeping him like that?
But I'm saying, what I know is that is it tantamount to, because remember, Chairman Wontumi has been granted bail, bail conditions that have now been met. From his own lawyer, EOCO has been very good to them. And so when we sit here and feed into perception that EOCO has been inhumane to Chairman Wontumi because he's been there since Tuesday night, we'll be on the wrong path. Can we agree on that?
No, what I can agree on is that I hope that some of these issues we are saying, that institutions take them on to help with their reforms. The thing about institution is that if you don't point out some of these things, they become too big and they continue on the path they are because they think that they are on the righteous path. My point is that as a student of reform, it's important to point out these things, hoping that somebody inside Boyoko could listen. And they say, look, in future, if we have another big fish or a bigger fish, let's probably do this. We call that reform, and those reforms are good. At the end of the day, they are aimed at what? Making our union more what? Equitable and more fair. And that's the point I wanted to land on. If somebody spoke, if the former vice president spoke to somebody at EOCO, if they had, I'm not saying he did, because I'm there, we also reading,
he said prior arrangements.
If there were prior arrangements that he would come, and the man come and he cannot even meet Chairman Wontumi. I'm saying that look, there is something fundamentally wrong with that. Look, somebody showed me a video when I was coming here of former President Mahama meeting Kweku Annan, who was held by intelligence for charge of treason or something like that. I'm saying that somebody sent me
held by the CID.
The CID on charges of treason. I want to believe treason is higher than what is happening now, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But the argument the person was trying to make is that in that case, the former president was allowed to at least meet Kweku Annan. So, and I'm sure in that case too, I don't think the former president just went there, say, hey, let me see. Probably he made some arrangements. The argument now is that if His Excellency, the former vice president, also made these same arrangements and came, I don't think it was too much to say, at least see Chairman
for the same thing,
at least give him a hug or give him a handshake, at least solidarize with him.
I think the exercise of discretion was not proper.
Exactly. So I'm saying that whosoever did that, please, look, we are all hoping to build a better Ghana. The Americans will say towards a more perfect union. In Ghana, we should also strive to create a more perfect republic. And in doing that, things of the past that were wrong, we should be bold enough to say that, look, this was wrong yesterday, but I am going to take the high road and I'm going to make it better. If we keep beating the same path, it's not good.
I mean, for me, I support the reformation.
I'll come back to you on your points on the reformation, but let me go to Zoom now. Professor Agyapong, we've been talking for a while now on the Chairman Wontumi issue and whether or not there are germane issues around his detention in EOCO, the protests that followed involving members of parliament on the minority side, involving former government officials, and even the vice president himself, who had gone there to see Chairman Wontumi. But of course, the protest was already there, so he greeted the protest as well. Talk to us. What are your thoughts on this? Prof, you have to unmute.
I am surprised Martin Kpebu is sitting down for a very harmless point or recommendation he made to be stretched and into a very big universal set into which all other allegations of inhumanity can be dumped. Martin essentially was trying to say that in relation to the argument that the 50 million bail condition was too much, maybe EOCO could have come out to explain to the Ghanaian public, to educate or to let them know why the 50 million bail condition cannot be described as too much. And so he was saying that a little more of information to the public would have been good, would have been better. And as a political scientist, I side with him. But of course, if you speak to the EOCO, they also will tell you they have their ways and means of operating. Okay, so they may tell you that they may not owe you any explanation here and there. They may have their own argument. I may not, as a governance person who believes in transparency, I would go with Martin Kwebu, and I've always had the cause to say that sometimes some of these public institutions would have to have very quote unquote offensive communicators who would come out swiftly to be able to explain things, put information in the fore to shape public narrative or public discourse so that people will be clear in their mind. That was what Martin Kwebu was trying to say. But suddenly, we are told that that harmless recommendation that they should have been out there explaining is an opportunity for us to say that EOCO has been inhuman and has been unfair. And I don't see how EOCO in this particular matter has been unfair and has been inhuman. And then we are told that Raymond Atta suffered some punishment. You know, he lost his property, and because of that, necessarily, then he's doing something. I think that I am uncomfortable about this analysis, and I regret not being in the studio. The next time I'll be in the studio, I think I would appreciate, because sometimes I want to quickly also banter to set some records straight, but because I'm far away, it's difficult. But the point must be made that, you see, the Chairman Wontumi case, in my view, is a test of the resilience of our institution in dealing with crime perpetrated by those I refer to as politically untouchable. That the man is now entangled in high-profile criminal investigations, ranging from Galamsey operations to financial crimes and transnational money laundering, should, in my view, evoke not just partisan debate, but public alarm. This is not merely about the man Wontumi. It's about a certain attempt at normalizing impunity. It's about a certain attempt at eroding institutional credibility and the dangerous fusion of political capital with economic banditry. It is about whether Ghana, 32 years into constitutional rule, still possess the will and tools to hold power brokers accountable, even if they are wearing party colors. So the recent arrest, reportedly sanctioned by a legal court warrant, in my view, is a significant turning point. Ghana's law enforcement institutions have historically shied away from confronting politically insulated figures, especially those embedded in ruling party structures. So the EOCO, in collaboration with international partners, that they have decided to pursue Wontumi and to fight financial crime, in my view, should be seen as something that is welcoming. But my little fear is that Ghana has been here before. Our history is littered with politically charged arrests, followed by strategic silences, drop of charges, or quiet plea bargaining. And I want to urge EOCO that in their pursuit of justice, they must not copy this bogus political culture. If EOCO believes that Wontumi is culpable, he must not be shielded by the opaque architecture of elite immunity. That people are saying that the 50 million bail requirement is too much, in my view, must not elicit the kind of reaction from the minority. And this is why many Ghanaians are missing the leadership of otchere. In my view, there should be a sensible way of using dialogue behind the scenes to appeal for a reduction of the bail condition that yields desired and beneficial results. So it's not about abandoning constitutionally mandated duties to go sit on the floor just to show loyalty to a rich man rather than protecting the national cause. People are saying the bail is too much, it's too much. But people have been given a bail condition of 500 million in Ghana here before. These guys never said that it's too much. And are we to be fooled that the 50 million bail condition is too much? They think we don't know what they have. They are just afraid that if anybody elects to say, I'm going to do that, then people will be questioning you and all that. And I'm arguing that even if it is too much, there is a sensible way to go behind the scenes, to use dialogue, to talk to people that, look, we are brothers. We are brothers and sisters in Ghana. If you look at how the politicians behave behind the scenes, you'd marvel. I was the coordinator of a program called Ghana Political Parties Program at the hosted by the Institute of Economic Affairs. When the politicians meet, outside their attitude is different. But when they meet behind the scenes, they are brothers. And so if we have this kind of relationship, why won't we exploit it to go behind the scenes and say, look, the man genuinely may not be able to raise 50 million. And so we are pleading, can it be varied? Can we be reduced? Can it reduce? Think through dialogue, we can achieve. And Mensa would have led, in my view, the minority group better in doing some of these things than what we are currently experiencing. So indeed, the minority caucus unannounced protest at EOCO's office, led by its leader, raises a curious paradox. That the minority would abandon parliamentary procedure to defend a senior MPP figure under criminal investigations reeks of opportunistic theater, not principled resistance. Their protest raises critical questions. Are they now vanguard defenders of individuals under investigation for financial crime? Please, what they are doing is trivializing serious concerns about justice that is deliberately then repackaged as if it's a partisan stance. Let us be clear in our mind. Those calling for Chairman Wontumi to be investigated and, if possible, prosecuted, they are not anti-Wontumi and they are not anti-Ashantis. They are anti-impunity. I don't know whether you've seen it, there is also a certain disingenuous attempt to ethnicize this thing that is going on. But I'm saying that the attempt to ethnicize the debate is an insult to the intelligence of the good people of Ghana and the good people of Ashantis themselves, many of whom have been loudest critics of how Wontumi have conducted himself. And so my view is that, look, if what he's done is wrong, let the law take its course. If he has defense, credible defense to defend himself, he has good lawyers. Let the lawyers also defend him. Let us not all of a sudden be seen to be necessarily by force puncturing hole. Who are we? The lawyer himself who is defending this man is saying that the processes have been fair and he's applauded the EOCO. Must we sit outside and necessarily by all means find challenges with everything? I don't think it is fair. I am not interested in this kind of thing and we can have a national conversation about it, that so every now and then the power changes hands, we have to go after people here and there. If it is not good, let us have an elite consensus about it. But the point is that we must not be seen to be showing loyalty to some rich men who have been accused or who have been taken through an investigative processes, and the processes have not terminated, and then we are showing loyalty to them instead of projecting what is in the national interest. It doesn't help. Then it's like anybody can do anything And the moment you think they are coming after you, go wear party hat, and then you will try to then water down the effectiveness of the state in trying to, address some of these. I think it is not fair to us in our forward march to ensure that the right thing is done, in our forward march to ensure that we demand accountability. If EOCO must put out information so that people would know, I'll go for that recommendation. But beyond that, I don't see why anybody should struggle to say that EOCO has been X has been Y, they are not doing their work well and all that. And I, like others have said,
well.
I don't believe in the politics of equalization, that it happened to this and so it must happen to that. I don't believe in that. It's a bogus practice. I believe
Indeed,
that
Prof.
as we build our nation, we
Prof,
must
we'll have more time for you to
practices.
speak, but let's bring in Alex now. Alex, in addition to what you want to touch on based on the speakings so far, under what circumstance do our security and intelligence agencies begin to talk to people? Under what circumstances, what considerations do you make in setting bill as high as 50? Well, Professor Jampo said it's not high, but it's a lot of money. So however we look at it, 50 million cedis and the likes. You are in security. Talk to us.
Okay. I wish I have started from somewhere because it would then make me. But I'll definitely come to that.
Go ahead and then come to me.
Yeah,
afterwards.
I'll come to your point. Yeah. So this whole thing started with police inviting. Police going to his premises in Kumasi to get him, and then it turned out to be that some people, I think his lawyers then time over there, agreed with the police that they will come to the HQ in Accra, I think on Monday, because I think it was a Friday that they went there, if I'm right.
Yes.
So, yes, he came to Accra on that Monday, and then reported again on Tuesday. And then he was picked by the EOCO people on Tuesday. Immediately from there, the argument started coming up from the MPP end that, why has he, why did he even go to the police, and then after that, the EOCO will come and arrest him? Why is the EOCO also having issue against him when he's before the police already? You see, whenever you are making such arguments, you need to first understand what law establishes all these institutions and what are their mandates. Yeah. The police have a mandate to arrest you when someone comes to report you to them on something. EOCO, by their law, permit me, if you look at their Act 804, you reckon that they, per Section 3, for instance, they have the right to investigate financial and economic loss to the state, money laundering, human trafficking, among others. They also have the right to prevent and detect organized crimes, and also generally facilitate the confiscation of the proceeds of crime. Now, our good friend and brother, the learned Deputy AG, has made us understand that they are holding cases such as fraud, money laundering, and what else?
Cross-border international
money laundering, fraud and others against him.
Yeah.
So he was arrested. I listened to his lawyer, Senior and Diapekubi, and he's one person, to be honest, I must say it here. I've said it before him several times, and I respect him so much because of the way he always carries himself and how he makes his arguments, he's always very objective. You reckon that if you look at the behavior his other colleagues were putting up over there and the way he has conducted himself, any reasonable man will respect him and also accept his conduct. He made it clear that the arrest which happened before him was not unlawful. And that the people were having warrant of arrest to arrest Wontumi. So why from this argument? Why are you, making it look like it's like someone is after him or at all costs or whatever? If somebody or if an agency certified by that matter has a warrant of arrest against you and they can arrest you, what stop them? Whether or not we are with the police or we are with NAPO or we are with BNI, it doesn't change anything. In any case, you can even have case with BNI, you can have case with NAPO, you can have case with EOCO, you can have case with the police. All can be running concurrently. Nothing changes it. Nothing changes it. Today you are before police, CID, on the, I think like senior, that's your case, right?
Yeah, we reported
exactly
Adam Sananu and
the CSO.
Yes.
And then Galamsey.
Exactly. Yeah. Just take that alone. Look at the video or the work that was done by our brother. Thank you.
Asare,
and look at the damage this gentleman has caused to this reserve forest. And then Akufo Addo and Bawumia's government. And nothing was done. When people were raising concerns, the president then was rather defending him. Today the table has turned, and let me say it here. No human being is judged when you are alive. The Bible places your judgment after death. So you will be put to questions on accountability when the government that was shielding you is no more. And that's why today you are answering questions. There is nothing like intimidation. If Wontumi should not be answering questions, who else should be answering questions? I'm asking. We should not ask Wontumi questions because he's an MPP regional chairman. And so what? So we should not put questions to him. He can just do anything at all and just go away because and one funny thing that I even heard, that is because he's contesting or he's about to contest as a national chairman for the MPP. That is why we are doing this. I mean, who cares about your national chairmanship? Whether you win or lose, it has got no effect or impact on this country. That is your political party. We don't care what will happen next to you people. But that doesn't defeat the fact that you must answer questions where necessary.
Yeah.
Now you have been arrested. The EOCO, I think by the second day or so, where I mean they are granted bail by the second day.
Very nice. 11. I think I could be 11 to 12 midnight.
Okay. So even the very day that you are arrested, bail was granted to you. Under normal circumstance, all these agencies, I mean that I mentioned earlier, we have the power to keep you 48 hours maximum. And after that, you have to put you either before court or grant you bail. But you were even lucky. The very day that you were arrested in the morning or afternoon, by the night of that day, bail has been granted. Now certain conditions were placed. Meet it. Then you see lawyers even within their party saying that, oh, it is too outrageous. The bail condition is too high. Who can raise that money? Really? Were you guys in this country when we were putting 100 million on the Tadufor? Were you guys in this country when we were putting 54 or so million on Wontumi and Co? Number one, do you know how much you put on him as bail? Do you know how much you put on him as bail? You're all here. But it was okay, I mean, for Amwabin and Co, Nam1 and Co, because Nam1, it was alleged that he has defrauded some people, and so if you put 500 something million on him as bail, it's okay. Nobody spoke. Now it's your chairman, so you are speaking. This is a guy who said he's richer than every other person in this country. He sat on his TV.
So what has that got to do with the case?
Now, so if you are richer than every other person in this country, how can 50 million cedis be issued to you? You are burying yourself. You didn't build people around you to make it so that when you are in trouble, they can come to your aid. You see the way you are struggling. And you are making it look like someone is trying to punish you. Nobody is punishing you. You have been given bail. Meet the condition and go to your house and then wait for the next actions. If not, if you can't meet it, don't blame anybody. Blame yourself and blame the people around you. And next time to be a lesson to you that if you go home tomorrow, build people around you and not just yourself. And that will put you in a position that tomorrow if you are in trouble, someone can come to your aid and assist you. When you call someone that, oh, Chum is in trouble, the person is willing and happy to fall in and then assist you. But because you are being selfish to yourself, you see that you are being struggling to get someone to come and assist you. I wouldn't be surprised if Akubi was the one who convinced I mean the MP, what's his name? Brian Champo. Yeah. To that extent, you didn't accept.
But you know you don't have any basis to call.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that
selfish. You don't have any basis to call Chairman Wontumi selfish.
Oh, so he's not selfish.
But why are you calling him selfish? What's the basis for that?
Agreed.
So you withdraw.
Okay, so Chairman Wontumi is not selfish. But it's a lesson on him to build people around him. That will make it far easier for him next time round. But now, let's proceed, Kamini. The issue of whether or not he has been, I mean, he has gotten himself involved in fraud and other things that we are talking about. These are money laundering and co. These are not trivial matters. So if you want him to be pampered, when such charges are being raised, then I don't know where you are coming from. Are you saying that when somebody, I mean, puts a charge on someone, the person should not be made to answer the questions? Or now it is now a crime to put somebody in cells and then put a bail condition on him? It has never been a crime. I agree with the position that, we shouldn't make it so outrageous for it to become very difficult for him. But if 500 million was good, 50 million is nothing. If 100 million was good, 50 million is nothing. We didn't criticize 500 million. We didn't criticize 100 million. So why are we not talking about 50 million? Which is like a token when you compare it to that 500 million.
Right.
You get it? So, I mean, I don't buy that argument. Lastly, I want all the people who are singing, I mean, for his MPs who went to sit on the floor, I said it somewhere, that it's their choice. Their constituents didn't send him, didn't send them to go and sit on the floor at EOCO. They were sent to Parliament to go and represent their constituents, make laws and ensure that development will get to their constituency. You decided to go and sit on the floor on behalf of your constituency, regional chairman. That is your choice. It doesn't change the status quo.
And their right to protest.
Oh, of course. It is still their choice. They decide to walk from Parliament to that place. It's their choice. But it will not change anything. The law, as Madam said, will continue to be the law. And it will be applied to the root.
Thanks for watching. Like and share the video. You can also drop your comment. Please don't forget to subscribe. Click on the bell to turn on the notification.